So let me guess, Monday to Thursday, you're super consistent with your workouts, your nutrition, you're feeling good, but it's the weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we're super social, we're out of our norm, we're out of our routine, and then we get back on Monday and we wonder why, hey, what the hell's going on with my results? On today's episode, what we're going to be talking about is how can you win the weekend? Because if you actually want to see fat loss, if you want to build muscle, if you want to transform your health, you can't just be consistent 4 out of those 7 days. We got to learn to be consistent 80, 90% of the time. I'm your host, Coach Cory Fernandes. This is the Excelsior Health Podcast. And guys, this is the podcast for busy professionals and busy parents who are looking to transform their health. What we do, guys, is we take the complicated, the confusing, intimidating aspects of health and fitness, and we just break it down to simple terms that you can understand and you can start to implement in your everyday life. All right, guys, today's episode, what I'm calling it is why your weekends are destroying your results. So where this came from, a lot of times when I do a podcast episode, really just comes from the conversations that I'm having on a day-to-day and week-to-week basis with our clients. And I was sitting in my office. One client came in and they were just like, had a great workout. And they're like, Coach, man, I'm just frustrated. Like, I feel like I'm putting in the work with my training, but I'm just not seeing the improvement in my results. And then I just started asking some probing questions. And then, one of the things from years of coaching people is I got to the food and I got to the weekends. And most people in their mindset, they're like, Coach, I feel like I eat pretty good. I don't snack that much, but we just don't realize how social and how much different we are on the weekends. So let's just put it into perspective. Like, yes, Monday to Thursday, most of us are on our typical work schedule. If you have kids, your kids got their weekly activities. My son has basketball Mondays and Wednesdays. We do training on Tuesdays. Maybe your daughter has dance. You have a routine. But what happens is as we get to the end of the week, it's like, it's a break from work. Let's expand a little bit. Let's have some fun. So whether it's a Thursday night for some people because they know the weekend's coming, but definitely when it comes to the Friday evenings, for sure the Saturdays and Sundays, our habits are different. They change. Right? We don't move as much. We definitely overeat. We overconsume on, liquid calories. And we also don't prioritize our recovery as much. So if you just think about that for a second, if you look at 4 out of the 7 days, I'm not very good at math, but I'm pretty sure that's like 60%. Think about that. If 60% of the time you're doing what you're supposed to, how can you expect dramatic or fast, impactful, transformational results? Oftentimes 60% is like you probably see some changes, but it's going to be very slow and you're going to get to a point where you're very frustrated. But if you change it to, hey, 80 to 90% of the time, I'm executing on all the things that we talk about on this podcast, that gives you the opportunity to see real sustainable results over 3-month period, 6-month period, a year, 18 months, 2 years. That's where transformation happens. So let's talk about what the real problem is, right? You're not being consistent over 7 days. And most people, they do intensity. They'll do like super focus on like certain foods, certain things over the week. But then again, as we get to the weekend, the consistency drops. So I don't want you guys to think, if you're great for 5 days, you can just be terrible for 2 days, because oftentimes you're just canceling all the things you did over those 5 weeks. So let me give this in a picture. If we talk about calories, because I know a lot of times we're focusing on better managing our calories. Let's say from Monday to Friday, you got 3 workouts in. Fantastic. That's a really good number to focus on. Let's say you're a woman and your calorie total range that you're focused on is like, for me to be in a pretty decent calorie deficit, 1,800 calories. And let's say you're hitting those pretty consistently. Let's say you're the male, you're the partner who's also on the fitness journey, and your calorie totals is 2,200 calories. And that's going to help you lose some fat. You're doing that pretty consistently, let's say give or take, maybe 10% margin from Monday to Friday. But now Saturday and Sunday, you're like, I'm not working out. I'm staying up late. We're watching movies. We're being social. We're eating. We're doing brunch. Now, guess what? You might be consuming 4,000 calories on that Saturday, another 4,000 calories on that Sunday. And that's what I'm talking about. Just those 2 days of being inconsistent, all that extra overlaps some of the strides of improvement that you made during the week. So what we got to really understand, guys, is you can't out-train a reckless weekend. You can't forget that the weekend is important, and it's where we keep that consistency. And that's where us as coaches, we see the big difference is like when people come back and they're down that 1 pound a week or that half a pound a week, and you see that big change, over 6 months, 9 months, you could bet that those people are prioritizing their recovery, their movement, and their nutrition habits over the weekend as well. All right, so, for our people that, most people that we struggle on the weekends, hey, me, myself, I go through these times where busy on the weekends. What is actually happening? So what I put here, guys, is we got no structure and we have no intention. So because it's the weekend and we're out of our norm, like we don't have our meal plan that we're sticking to. We don't have our, regimented workout. Maybe we don't have our walk structure. We're not sleeping at the same time. We're sleeping a little bit later. We're going to bed a little bit later. This is a recipe for disaster for maintaining results. All right. Now, the other type of mindset that can impact us is, Coach, I deserve it, man. It's been a tough week. I've been working hard, Coach. Come on. You got to have flexibility. And that's just not the mindset is I deserve it. I don't deserve to just have a big bowl of ice cream. I don't just deserve to just stuff my face with chips. I don't deserve to overdo beers and alcohol. Can you have those things? Of course you can have those things, but you have to still follow some sort of system. And then more importantly, you got to give yourself the mindset that I deserve to be good with my sleep. I deserve to eat nutritious and healthy food. I deserve to stay active. That's what you deserve because that's what's going to lead to more long-term results. Now, another thing is the all or nothing mindset. It's the weekend, man, I'm just all or nothing. During the week, hey, I got to be consistent. I'm going to eat healthy. We don't need all or nothing. We need consistency. So I know you've heard me say this before. You've probably heard other fitness professionals that you look up to. 80-20. It's just a great balance where 80% of the time, yes, you need to be sticking consistent to your nutrition habits, to your protein intake, to your water consumption, to your workouts. But that other 20%, especially when it comes to nutrition, you could fit in those foods that might be a little bit higher in calories, might be a little bit higher in sugar. And you can give yourself that leeway on the weekends, right? But you can't just go all or nothing where both Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday is just the worst choices and there's no nutritional value in any of those options. And then what comes with that is, okay, man, I'll start again on Monday. And it's just this, vicious cycle of I'll start again on Monday. And by the time it's Thursday, we've already given up on finishing the week. As I've already said a couple of times, but a big thing that probably people don't realize as much is your movement slows down on the weekend. You just don't move as much. Right? So could you condition yourself from Friday to Sunday to get at least one training session in? That would make a huge difference. And what I would argue is on all of those days, could you get a walk in? But at least, if there is days where you just want to sit on your butt, from Friday to Sunday, could there at least be 2 of those days where you're getting low steady state cardio, which is just getting a walk in, right? 30 to 45 minutes, spending some time outdoor in nature. All right, so here's the hard truth. This is what I want to challenge you guys with. If you actually want to create Excelsior Health, if you want to transform your health and your way of life, these are some things that we could do to win the weekend. So number 1, guys, let's keep your training non-negotiable. Just because the weekend is here doesn't mean you don't have to train. One of my favorite days to train is Saturday mornings. I feel like it sets the tone to have a great active weekend. Oftentimes I might be going out with my wife, I might be going out with my kids, I might throw on something other than a hoodie and a tracksuit that I coach in. I might put on a little fitted t-shirt, and it's like, man, I want to go sweat a little bit. I want to work out, and it gives me that emotional and mental confidence to go out to do some of those more social things. So definitely getting a training session in helps. And I think making that commitment that whether it's Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, one of those days, get a training session in where you're lifting some weights. And to put on top of that, maybe it's not your hardest workout of the week. And that's okay. You might have your lifting heavy, high intensity sessions, on a Monday, a Wednesday, Thursday, whatever it might be. That's okay. But it's the act of getting your training in, right? So you could build that into your plan where Saturday is just a lower intensity workout. It could be shorter in duration, but it's still, you're getting that training in, that it reinforces your identity that, hey, I'm strong, I'm healthy, I'm fit, and I'm going to make some great choices over this weekend when it comes to my nutrition habits. Number 2, in terms of simple rules to help us win the weekend so we can get results, is anchor to structured meals, right? So just create some structure to what the meals should look like. So this is an example of what I love to do. On dinners, you could probably guarantee if it's a Saturday or Sunday in my household, we're going to be at a restaurant because my son often has sports, but we just love to eat at restaurants, to be honest. So for us, it's going to a restaurant in which we know we're going to be able to get good quality protein. We're also going to be able to get some good veggies, some good carbs, basically a meal that has nutritional value. But it's like, hey, we don't have to cook it and we're going to enjoy it and it's going to be super flavorful. Would that meal maybe be higher in calories than normal? Most likely, yes. So what I like to do is think, okay, this is going to be my big meal that I'm looking forward to end off this day, this weekend, one of these days. But earlier in the day, what's the meal that I'm going to have? And typically for us, it's going to be eggs. It's going to be some sort of omelet that we like to have. Usually later in the morning, we like to fast in the morning and just be active. Or it could be something very small like Greek yogurt and fruit, or it's maybe just a simple protein shake. But the thing that I'm trying to get you to understand is what's that one meal earlier in the day that it's not too big, but it's still maybe hitting your protein and your kind of fruit requirements, and then saving the bulk of your calories to still have a high protein meal, but it's going to be more maybe in the kind of restaurant and social aspect of things. So have that structure that you're going to have 2 meals, one of them probably being bigger that you can rely on. Another thing that we would say for simple rules to win the weekend, guys, number 3, set a limit. Don't let it be a free-for-all where whatever's around you, man, you're just consuming it. If you like to have maybe some chips on the weekend, okay, what's the limit? Is it going to be 2 bowls of chips that you know that, okay, this is roughly going to give me a certain amount of calories? Is it one kind of sweet desserty dish, like where it's a bowl of ice cream that like you can't wait for the weekends where you go and have that? If it's alcohol, is there a certain restriction where you're like, you know what, I'm limiting myself to 3 alcoholic beverages so I don't go overboard and just consume too many calories? Is it starchy carbs where, man, you're like, man, I love to have this bread. Okay, have the bread, but is it like the bread is what's having every meal and you're over consuming it throughout the weekend? So the point I'm trying to say is create some sort of guardrails, right? Some sort of limit that still allows you to dip into things that you normally don't have, but it just gives you a little bit of structure so you don't go all or nothing. Lastly, and I've said this over and over again, move your body. So because, for most people, I know a lot of people work on the weekends, because we're not working as much, it's get your steps in. So for me, we make it a family thing. Like a lot of times we force our kids where it's like, no, you ain't got no choice. Get on your bike, walk beside dad. Oftentimes I'll have to throw the football with my son just to get him to be walking with us. But we make it a family thing. And sometimes you could take advantage of it that because you have more time on a Saturday or Sunday, maybe it's not your normal 30-minute walk that you're squeezing into your busy life, during the week, but maybe it's like a different place where it's just part of the weekend. It's like, hey, we're going to go on this nice hike, and you're looking for these destinations, or it just becomes a fun thing that you guys are doing, and it is social. You can often invite friends and other people to be there where you're catching up and talking, but you're getting your steps in. So being active on the weekend goes a long way to reinforcing those positive habits of eating the right foods, but then also still getting the right recovery, right? So those are 4 things that you guys could do to win the weekend. Now, one point that I do want to emphasize here, you might be struggling to lose some fat. Are you doing things completely wrong? No, you might just have poor standards when it comes to the weekend. And if you just change your mindset around that, it's like, you know what? I'm going to continue these good habits over the course of the weekend. Most people are going to see significant changes when it comes to their health and fitness journey. So a point that I put here is the version of you on Saturday should look very similar to the version of you on Tuesday, right? So that's maybe one big takeaway from this podcast episode. You shouldn't be 2 different split personalities, like the weekend version of you and then the during the week version of you. Let's make that the same person who's living that 80-20 lifestyle. That's when you're really going to see some, significant changes. So lastly, guys, kind of to end off this episode, I think it's really about reframing. That's often what successful people do, is they take concepts and they put a positive perspective on it. So what I put here, guys, is your weekend, it's not a break from your routine. Instead, it's a test. It's a test. Like, do you actually want to lose this body fat? Do you actually want to get stronger? Do you actually want to have a life of longevity and great health span? If so, look at the weekends as a test, as a mini challenge to allow you to exercise some of your discipline, to allow you to use some of the knowledge that you guys are acquiring from the podcast or from some of the mentors and the healthy people that you're networking with when it comes to your fitness journey. All right. So you don't have to be perfect on the weekend, right? What we're looking for is consistency. We're not looking for crazy intensity. We're not looking for all or nothing. It's consistency. And the reality is, guys, is the people that win long-term when it comes to this health and fitness, they're not the people that are starting every Monday, right? They're not having that conversation. Yeah, Monday, I'm going to get back on it. Like, we've all done that before. It's just a part of who they are as a person. Part of who they are as a person is they believe in, you know what? Doesn't matter what's going on in my life. I'm going to work out 3 to 4 days a week, right? I'm going to get my strength training in. I'm also going to get my steps in. I'm going to walk outside for 30 minutes, 5 to 7 days a week. I'm going to prioritize my 6 to 8 hours. Maybe I'm a little bit more sharper 7 to 8 hours during the week, but I'm getting that 6 hours, or sometimes I'm getting more on the weekends, right? I'm getting that 80-20 balance of good, nutritious food with vitamins and minerals from my fruits and vegetables. I'm getting my good carbs to give me my energy, and I'm definitely prioritizing my protein so that way I can build muscle and have a good, lean, healthy body. So guys, to end off, again, like Training for Warrior Saga, what we do is we're not just coaching workouts that you do during the week. We're coaching your lifestyle habits. And the key that comes to results, it's not what we do in the gym in those 4 hours. It's what we're doing in the other 164 hours during the week when nobody's watching. And that's what I want you guys to think is, can you win the weekend? Those moments on the weekend where maybe it's late at night, you're sitting on your couch, nobody's watching you. Those are the opportunities for you to prove to yourself, you know what? No, my long-term goals, my health, my fitness, those are more important than this short-term satisfaction of just having some mindful snacks or going over my calories because I'm bored. All right. Hopefully this podcast, guys, gave you a good reminder that, hey, maybe one of the reasons you're not breaking through in your results is because simply you're losing your consistency on the weekends. So let's use these tactics. Let's use these strategies. Let's win the weekend and let's live that warrior mindset. I'm Coach Cory. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Beastin'.